Hi everybody, my name's Johnny Greenwood. I make these videos mostly for entertainment. I realise that this particular one gets real boring real quick unless you've got some kind of interest in this kind of thing. Man, I even got bored making it, but I felt like Darren deserved a full response, so I just kept going right to the end. So I understand if you don't want to watch it, but please just take a minute. I am currently doing training for a boxing match that I've got on the 2nd of September. It's for charity. I'm trying to raise money for cancer research. My target is £50, which is very, very little. If everybody who watched this video chipped in £1, we'd probably make the target within a week. I have only got 2 or 3 weeks left to be able to get that money, which is why I'm asking everybody. Obviously, if you can't, that's absolutely fine. But there is a Just Giving site set up. It's in the comment section below. Please take the time, see if you can donate anything. If you can't, understandable, but obviously it's for cancer. I think that's something we can all get behind, whether you love me or hate me, I don't care either way. Anyway, without further ado, here is the video. It's shit.
See, that's the thing. A tendency of hysteria is to poison the well of responses, so that way it's like he establishes a psychological false dichotomy where either you tell the truth and be insulted, or you follow his narrative.
That sounds like slander to me. I assume you've got some evidence? No? You're not going to provide anything? No examples? Nothing?
That's a form of poisoning the well, Johnny.
Okay, you're poisoning the well against me. That makes sense then. Obviously you don't need evidence if all you're doing is poisoning the well. That'd be ridiculous.
But I might as well read other people's responses as well, because they establish what he just was begging to. He was just dying to sink his teeth into. Because it looked like he was clutching at straws. If anything. Because I had to explain in the effectiveness of a tangent the extrapolatory point I was making.
To infer an unknown from something that is known. Conjecture. So his point was pure conjecture.
This is intelligent, and this is not. Notice how the on-off switch pertains to whether intelligence exists or doesn't? That's an on-off switch.
Yeah, Darren, that's a completely different on-off switch. It's a completely different binary option. This is less intelligent, and this is not. That's still a fucking binary option, you retard.
Less is a gradient. That much is obvious. I'm sure he understands that.
For those of you familiar with computer coding, or just algebra really, here's a very simple way of turning said gradient into a fucking binary option.
So I get a response from a guy named Victimless Criminal. And what he says is,
Darren, less does indeed imply a gradient. So when Isaac says it's okay to eat anything less intelligent, he is clearly ignoring that very gradient.
No. Simply put, it's actually establishing a fact conclusion based on based on a given point of the gradient. So it's a direct adherence to the gradient. So anything that's under that.
Otherwise, his question would be, how much less intelligent does it have to be before it's okay to eat it? Rather than jumping to the most intelligent thing he can think of on the less intelligent gradient, and then equating eating that, a disabled person, to eating livestock. Darren, Isaac either believes that cows and the disabled have the same intelligence, or is creating a binary option for his audience. I don't understand why you can't see the manipulation tactic used. And so, as it turns out, Isaac actually did mean that disabled people have the intelligence of livestock. So this guy called this guy in the comments section below managed to explain this rather quickly. Obviously, it took them a while going around the houses before they realised where I was coming from, and agreed with me that, oh yeah, actually, you know, this wasn't the best example of him saying that. What he was trying to say is exactly what I said, which is, you know, if humans had the intelligence of cows, would it be okay to eat them? That was Isaac's actual argument. That's not what he said in the video that I had been asked to critique, and I'm not a fan of Ask Yourself. I've never watched any of his content. I'd simply been given this video and asked to comment on it, and that's what I did. So, yeah, forgive me for taking him at his word and not assuming that I understood what he meant. You know, I just went at face value. And the problem that Darren has here is that from this point, rather than agreeing with Victimless Criminal that Isaac did in fact believe that the disabled have the intelligence of cows, he then tried to defend Isaac from something that Isaac himself would not have said. So, anyway. Yeah, so this guy or that guy or whatever your name is, yeah, well done for finally figuring out where everything was going wrong. I knew it was always a semantics thing. You people are fucking crazy. This was a non-point from the fucking beginning. But, you know, I had to explain myself because Isaac brought it up. And he knew damn well. Rather than saying, where did I say it was an on-off switch, he could easily have said, actually, this was a really terrible example. What I meant to say was, if humans had the intelligence of the animals, would it be okay to eat them? That's all Isaac had to say. But instead he said, where did I say it was an on-off switch? And it's led to these fucking hours and hours long videos where I've had to defend myself from something that I shouldn't have to defend myself from that. You should be able to watch that clip. Any person with a brain should be able to watch that clip and see exactly where I was coming from. It shouldn't have taken fucking 4 or 5 videos before one person pointed out, oh, actually, Isaac's done an entirely different video on that. And he, you know, he explains it much better. You know, Isaac himself should have been able to see that. But anyway, whatever. You people are fucking crazy, and Darren, you're probably one of the craziest of the bunch, so go fuck yourself. The video continues.
But in this case, in this very case, there is a clear pointing out of the fact that there is a gradient of intelligence. You can measure the effects of high-level intelligence.
I'm sorry, I'm super confused. Did you just agree with me?
You can measure the effects of high-level intelligence.
A few moments later.
How much less intelligent does it have to be before it is okay to eat it? Literally begets the conclusion. Therefore, it's like, so you answer that question.
But you didn't answer that question.
And then you get to this conclusion. It's okay to eat anything less intelligent, this or that.
I think this proves that you totally missed my point, because what you're trying and failing to say is exactly what I tried and apparently failed to say. Funny that.
Simple. That's literally the effectiveness of saying the same thing twice, because they're on the exact same line of reasoning.
But a disabled person is not on the same line of intelligence as livestock. And that was the only point I was ever trying to make.
So here's what to say. Darren, Isaac either believes that cows and the disabled have the same intelligence, or he is creating a binary option for his audience.
As I mentioned, this could all end right now. All Darren has to do is accept that in this particular analogy, Isaac was suggesting that disabled people have the intelligence of livestock, and this would have all been over.
How? Explain. First, that you have to substantiate whether or not he's actually creating a binary.
I'm really hoping that by now I've found some way of explaining the binary choice to you, what was going on in my brain,
I've shown diagrams, I've shown computer coding, I've explained it every way from Sunday, what was going down, right? But the very point is that none of this mattered. All Isaac had to do was say yes. In that analogy, I was assuming that you understood I meant disabled people have the intelligence of livestock, and it would all have ended there. But no, we have to go through these semantics because you're so fucking petty.
So, my response is, how much less intelligent does it have to be before it is okay to eat it is exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same as it's okay to eat anything less intelligent, you fool. One's just the prior reasoning, and the other's the conclusion. Okay, and then hysteria pipes up because he was just waiting to do so.
Tum-ti-tum, here I am, just living my own life.
You've got mail.
Ooh, what's this? Click! How much less intelligent does it have to be before it's okay to eat it? Is exactly the same as it's okay to eat anything less intelligent. You fool. What the fuck?
Darren, I read that several times and it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I was going to work, so I kind of wasn't really on the ball thinking. And when I'm not on the ball thinking, I tend to ramble.
Oh, well, here's some advice for you then, mate. Go to work first, and then come back and think about it. And then type a comment.
But my response to that was, if you fail to follow, that's your fault. Repeated glances in a defensive mindset leading you to think that it doesn't make any sense doesn't actually make it wrong.
Right, so here's my question. Where did right and wrong come into it? All I was saying was that your comment didn't make any sense. I was just asking you to clarify it. How am I supposed to know if it's right or wrong if I can't understand what you're saying? Okay, so obviously the fact that he thinks that I'm trying to catch him out, I'm trying to claim that his comment is wrong, that means that he's, for some reason, on the defensive immediately. This is what my first comment back on this thread. And he's immediately on the defensive saying, that doesn't mean that it's wrong. Well, I never said that it did mean that it was wrong, Darren. Calm the fuck down. That's all I'm saying. But soon he's going to say something about me projecting a sense of projection back onto him or some bullshit. This is where it started. Because he was like, that doesn't make it wrong. That's your fault that you can't keep up. I can't keep up. Mate, you make no fucking sense. That's an idiotic thing to say.
Until you can provide a succinct rebuttal, I don't have any reason to say that you're wrong or to further explain the point I made.
If you are unwilling to further explain the point you made, I am unable to form a succinct rebuttal. How hard is that to understand, you fool?
So he's given me no leg to stand on to further discussion, but he's obviously trying to initiate one.
If you're talking in my comments, then it's not me initiating the discussion, is it? It's you.
So that was time wasting. So then he gets into it.
Tum-ti-tum. Here I am again, just living my own life. If you fail to follow, that's your fault. Okay. Repeated glances in a defensive mindset, leading you to think it doesn't make sense, doesn't actually make it wrong. What? What do you mean repeated glances in a defensive mindset? I was like staring at that sentence for ages. I just didn't make any sense. Until you can provide a succinct rebuttal, I don't have any reason to even say that you're wrong. What? Or to further explain the point I made. Alright. None of that makes any sense. Well, your brain is wired weird in my opinion. If I clearly wasn't making any sense, I'd try again until I did, but you just instantly get all hyper-defensive and then somehow you've projected that onto me for simply stating that your comment is oxymoronic. Is that the right word? What I mean is that this bit...
How much less intelligent does it have to be before it is okay to eat it is exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same as it's okay to eat anything less intelligent, you fool.
Doesn't actually make any sense at all. I wasn't trying to prove you wrong. I was simply struggling to understand how you came to that conclusion. What the fuck is your problem?
Alright, all he did was re-outline his response. He did nothing to substantiate his response at all.
That's really funny because I thought I was doing exactly what I was explaining in the comment, which was I thought you didn't understand me, so I was having another attempt at explaining myself so that maybe you could better understand me, because clearly you're struggling with something. I really don't know why. Oh, Jesus. Your hard work, dude.
And he says, I wasn't trying to prove you wrong. Yeah, no shit, because you didn't.
I don't even get where he thinks I was trying to prove him wrong. Even that doesn't make sense to me.
I was simply struggling to understand how you came to that conclusion. What the fuck is your problem?
Okay, so now, obviously this is totally my fault, but for whatever reason, he totally ignores what I just said, and now he just concentrates on the word fuck. So the fact that I said, I'm just trying to understand your conclusion, and that would have given him the perfect opportunity to explain his conclusion, no, he just ignores that part of the comment, just so that he can call me a bitch for using the word fuck. Oh my god, Darren.
Oh, so he's so I didn't even read most of that. All I did was I'll read keywords. I didn't expect him to get so hostile because I was at work, so I didn't get to read the whole fucking thing. So now that I see that he started whining like a bitch, let me reciprocate, Hysteria. You are a bitch. You are an intellectually dishonest, projecting bitch. You always whine about this shit before it even happens, and then you cause people to react in the ways that you first projected onto them. Okay, that's your fucking problem, Johnny. That's your problem.
In all honesty, is that actually what I do? Because that's proper not how it feels. Feels like I read you pretty good, and then I respond in kind, and you can't take it. I don't know, maybe you just read me wrong. I don't know. I mean, I'm British, and I've got a pretty dry sense of humour. I don't really give a fuck how you feel. So, you know, I can use swear words without really giving a shit. But apparently you can't. I don't know, Darren. I really don't. From this angle, it looks like you're the bitch.
Alright. So, now that I got that out of the way, let's deconstruct this. If I clearly wasn't making any sense at all, I tried again until I did, but you instantly get all hyper defensive, and somehow you've projected that onto me for simply stating that your comment is oxymoronic. First and foremost, I haven't projected anything. I said you failed to follow, which is exactly what you stated yourself. And I said, as what follows, that doesn't provide anything to discussion. It doesn't provide anything to debate. So it's kind of redundant. And that's me projecting? What exactly is that projecting, Johnny?
I think this part right here is you projecting. This part right here.
You're trying to do the equivalence of poisoning the well of your adversary. The equivalence of this person just isn't worthy of discussing anything because he's just intellectually dishonest. I'm detecting an actual ad hominem fallacy. I'm not detecting, say, for instance, a simple insult. I'm detecting that you're going to use insult as some way to respond to my points and say that I'm wrong.
Darren, all I did was say that your comment didn't make any sense and ask for clarification. How is this such a hard concept for you to grasp?
So that kind of explains why he emotionally flew off the handle, though. Saying, what the fuck is your problem? Now, me and him have had an affinity. We've had like we're friends. But sometimes friends have to correct the other, and sometimes the other friend is being a fucking idiot. So, when he outlines what I said, stating that it's basically the same thing, Saying again that it does not make any sense at all is not simply the case. If it doesn't make any sense to you, if you are failing to follow.
Oh my god, you pedantic cunt. Yes, I meant that I'm not following.
And that's you.
Gee, thanks for helping me understand, yeah. Hashtag helpful.
Now, if you could point out that it doesn't follow.
It doesn't make sense to me. I can't point out anything about it besides the fact that it looks laughably stupid.
Do so. But you didn't. Why? Or is it because any speak of logic, any speak of formalizing whatever your opponent is saying is just too booky?
How much less intelligent does it have to be before you can eat it implies that there is a level that we can all agree on. It's okay to eat anything less intelligent implies that it is okay for a person to literally eat anything less intelligent than themselves.
Is it just too much in the realms of the book world to you?
I was simply asking you to clarify, dude, because it sounded moronic.
Whereas you live in reality.
I like to think so.
This is fucking condemning you, Johnny.
Is it?
And it's getting worse. Your fucking attitude needs to change.
My inquisitive nature needs to be replaced with one that makes assumptions and accusations, because that's what you expect to read, and anything else confuses you.
Because you're not promoting argumentation.
I haven't even got there yet. I'm still at the trying to understand part.
You're wasting people's time.
How? Seriously now, how?
And you're not learning yourself, which I thought was your whole purpose.
I learn something new every day. My whole purpose on YouTube was to learn more about people. You are not going to make me vegan. Christians are not going to make me Christian. I have explained this to you directly.
For engaging in this discourse.
I engage to show that people like me exist and to learn more about the people that I share the planet with. I don't really care who is actually right or wrong, because I know I'm right, and I also know that I'll never be able to convince you to change. So what would be the point in even trying?
You wanted to learn via osmosis.
What? Do I smell a mind-reading retard?
You wanted to learn via discussion.
I learn lots about people via discussions. Don't try to tell me what I have and have not learned. You're making yourself sound really silly now, dude.
And all you do is you stonewall. That's it. You don't even attempt to learn. You poison wells. You ad hominem. So what the hell are you doing, man?
I asked you to clarify your statement. That is the exact opposite of stonewalling.
So, my response, because I didn't actually read the full, comment.
Oh my god, will you ever get over the use of the word fuck?
I didn't know that he flew off the handle, so I kept my cool.
I wasn't flying off the handle, Darren. I was confused as fuck why you couldn't just break down your reasoning that made you come to that conclusion.
So I said, haha, yeah, man. I agree. My mind is wired to be a sophist, but I'm consciously trying to rewire it to be a philosophizer with integrity.
I'm not looking any of that up. I've no idea what he just said, but really, I think it could mean just about anything. It's a virtue signal to people in the philosophy circles, but ultimately meaningless in my opinion.
I'll explain what I was getting at when I get back from work, man. So then he says, please do, because it's honestly the dumbest thing I've read all day. And I woke up to a ton of hate comments, so that's pretty bad. So first and fucking foremost, without even trying to substantiate his claims...
How do you want me to substantiate my claim that I don't understand how you came to your crazy conclusion? I couldn't even evidence that with a brain scan. I don't understand what the fuck the issue is here. Just explain yourself for fuck's sake. How hard is that?
he's already saying that any possible justification, the effectiveness of and the extension to any justification for this would be fucking stupid.
What the fuck? No. What I'm saying is simply that your comment, how much less intelligent does it have to be before you can eat it, is exactly the same as you can eat anything less intelligent, makes you sound fucking stupid.
So, you're not saying that directly, it's implicit.
Only if you really meant it how it came across.
So what you're saying here is, if it is in fact the dumbest thing you've ever heard...
I never said it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. I said it was the dumbest thing I'd heard that day. For fuck's sake, you seriously struggle to follow a conversation, don't you?
You're saying so with resolution.
Let's take a look at some other comments that I received that day.
You're saying so with gusto. You're saying so gung-ho, man.
Well, those other comments were silly, but yours was retarded, so...
You're saying so like as if that is in fact the case. This is a stupid thing.
I'm saying it sounded stupid. I also go on to say that I'm sure it just didn't come across how you intended it to. But sadly, when we get to that part of the conversation, instead of addressing it, we get to see your intellectual dishonesty in full swing. And I, for one, am really looking forward to it.
So does that suppose that it's right or wrong?
Oh my fucking God. I didn't understand it. I refuse to assume whether or not it is right or wrong. If you meant it how you said it, you sound like a fucking psycho.
Johnny.
Darren, you're never going to understand this, but I really don't care if it's right or wrong. All I want to do is fucking understand it.
Is your adherence to reality, getting others to accept reality, allowing you to intuit that I'm right or wrong?
There is no right or wrong. I want to learn how your brain works. It works however it works. There's no right or wrong here. It's just a simple, what the fuck do you even mean?
So he says, knowing you, I'm sure there must be some was of making it sound more sensible. I'm just not seeing it. So why would you make these implicitly absolutist statements like this is the dumbest thing you've ever heard? It is literally the equivalent of poisoning the well.
Why do you keep saying that? Asking you for clarification is the exact opposite of poisoning the well. When you ask me to clarify my statement, what else can I say besides I just want clarification because at the minute it sounds completely fucking retarded? That's all I can say.
So, I respond with, understandably, all I'm saying is the two statements are intertwined segments of the same exact reasoning line. They entail each other. One leads to the action of the other. So then he responds with, not necessarily though, right? Yes, necessarily. Because the one is saying, okay, let me simplify this again.
What do you mean again? You never simplified it the first time. But yeah, please do simplify it, man.
How much less intelligent does it have to be before it is okay to eat it? Okay? So what you're looking for, what this question is asking you is, how much less intelligent does something have to be before it is okay to eat it. So a conclusion would be, it is okay to eat anything less intelligent than this.
Darren, are you fucking mental? That's a completely different thing to say. Are you now suggesting that disabled people are less intelligent than cows? Because that's literally what you just fucking said. You're worse than Isaac. That's insane. You are an insane person. It's okay to eat anything less intelligent than this, than the answer to the question, is completely different from it's okay to eat literally anything less intelligent. The statement that you made makes it sound like it's okay for me to eat you because you are less intelligent than me, regardless what the answer to the question, how much less intelligent does it have to be before it's okay to eat it? Like, how can you not get this? You're the guy who loves words so much, and man, you read comments so fucking shit. I wonder if you can actually read, because this is painful to listen to. Really is. So I'm not surprised that you struggle to follow actual logic if it's not written down in a book saying this is logic. But, you know, I'm a computer programmer, so I can't help but be logical. Your comment is ridiculous. Thank you for clarifying that you meant than this. Those two words change the entire context of the argument, and I've got no problem with that. But it does suggest that you think that disabled people are less intelligent than livestock. Go back and listen to Isaac's comment, and then listen to what you just said. It's insane. You're an insane person.
So if they had deployed the justification that animals are less intelligent, I would say, okay, well, hypothetically, if I wanted to murder and eat the disabled, that would be okay because they're less intelligent, right?
So what you're looking for, what this question is asking you, is how much less intelligent does something have to be before it is okay to eat it? So a conclusion would be, it is okay to eat anything less intelligent than this.
So I think that's called a bait and switch. I'm not 100% sure, but basically he threw one statement at me that it's okay to eat anything less intelligent, and then completely switched it over to it's okay to eat anything less intelligent than whatever arbitrary marker we we put down. So yeah, let's just have a quick Google, shall we? Find average IQ of a cow. So I'm surprised to see that there doesn't appear to have been a single study done that I can get my hands on that shows the IQ of a cow. Something that people just haven't looked into, I guess. So yeah, kind of falling flat. Since severe retardation is still on the IQ of about 20, I think 20 is probably higher than a cow could score on an IQ test. But we'll never know until somebody does that study, sadly. So, yeah, that sucks.
So he actually goes on, instead of just leaving it there at not necessarily though right, and keeping it as simple as a question and answer, so to
Alright, Darren, you're seriously gonna have to make your fucking mind up now, mate, because the first time you had a go at me because I didn't clarify my statement, and now you're trying to have a go at me because I did clarify my statement. You can't have it both ways, dude. Fucking work it out. Jesus.
remain unopinionated until you can formulate a level of accurate sequitur.
So just for clarification, his comment was understandably, as in it's understandable that I'm confused. All I'm saying is that the two statements are intertwined segments of the same exact reasoning line. They entail each other. One leads to the actions of the other. So what he's suggesting is that no matter how you answer the question, how low does the intelligence have to be before it's okay to eat it, the conclusion will always be it's okay to eat literally anything less intelligent than yourself. That's the way I'm reading it. So I put, not necessarily though, right? If I said it's okay to eat something because it is less intelligent, and then you asked me how much less intelligent does it have to be before it's okay to eat it, my reply might be, if it's less intelligent than the least intelligent human. Then we've resolved the matter without the erroneous conclusion that it's alright to eat anything that is less intelligent than the person speaking. If you don't follow this process, then you are purposefully ignoring the context in which the original statement might have been made. I'm sure that there's probably a big word for when somebody projects an irrational conclusion onto their statement, such as, it's okay to kill and eat the disabled.
Hey, Mr. Non-Vegan, how come it's okay to eat animals but not people?
Well, that's because animals are less intelligent than people.
So does that mean it's okay to kill and eat the disabled?
Don't be fucking stupid, you dumb vegan cunt. Okay, that seems like a really straightforward comment. All I'm saying is, I don't think it's necessarily the conclusion that you can eat literally anything less intelligent than yourself just because you might be trying to use the intelligence argument or whatever. Let's listen to how he breaks this shit down because it's hysterical. I consider this to be intellectual dishonesty at its finest, and the reason that I say that is because his audience are unable to see these comments. He's reading these comments out for his audience to listen to, so he gets to choose which parts he's going to include and which parts he's not going to include. You may have seen that earlier. What was it that he said? In the actual comment that I displayed on the screen, it says something like, you're wasting my time, and I was really looking forward to listening to him say that. What was it? Don't be daft, you're wasting my time. I was really looking forward to hearing him say the word daft in his accent, but no, he didn't want his audience to hear him calling somebody daft because he wanted to make it seem like I was flying off the handle, when in actual fact he was the one that started with the insults and I was just merely joining in, and I really wasn't flying off the handle at all. But anyway, yeah, let's get back to it.
So I might as well just read the rest of what he said and respond to it. It's off the cuff, so I don't really care. If I said it's okay to eat something because it's less intelligent, then you asked me how much less intelligent does it have to be before it's okay to eat it. My reply might be, if it is less intelligent than less intelligent human. Which is literally the exact... Oh, Johnny, it's literally the exact same thing as just contextualizing the saying that anything less, it's okay to eat anything less intelligent. You're just contextualizing that statement. So you're not actually disagreeing with that statement. You're putting that into a context. You're giving an answer to it, dude. That is literally, it is okay to eat anything less intelligent.
How are you not getting this? You keep saying anything less intelligent. That implies that the person speaking can eat anything less intelligent than themselves. That's what you're saying. You're trying to say exactly what I'm saying. That's why you're agreeing with me, which again is why I don't understand why you think there's such a thing as a right and wrong in this situation. It's a fucking semantics argument. You just refuse to accept that I am correct. And Isaac thinks that the disabled are less intelligent than livestock, and Isaac made a terrible point by saying that rather than saying, is it okay to eat humans if they have the intelligence of animals, which is what he should have said in the fucking first place. You just can't get over it. It's so sad to watch you squirming about, saying, oh, you've just put it into context.
and then repeating it's okay to eat anything less intelligent, and totally not understanding where the fuck I'm coming from, what you have said. This is insane. You're an insane person. Just walk away.
Because what? Less intelligent than what? And then you gave a context. And the least intelligent human. All you're doing is contextualizing it. You're not changing it. You're doing the exact same thing. This final paragraph. Then we have resolved the matter without the erroneous conclusion. What erroneous conclusion? He makes these assertions, he riddles his statements with assertions, with many assertions, or many statements in and of themselves of what something is, without the erroneous conclusion. What erroneous conclusion, Johnny?
Read the end of the fucking sentence, Darren, and you'll find out what erroneous conclusion. Fucking read.
What erroneous conclusion? What you said is just a contextualization of the conclusion that I outlined. If you don't follow this process, then you are purposefully ignoring the context in which the original statement might have been made. That's not the only context you could make in saying anything less intelligent than... You could literally put anything in that context. There's not one true context, Johnny. So you can't even draw a conclusion based on context alone in that statement.
This is laughable because he's trying to be as generalized as possible, which is why he doesn't like talking about context, right? Fair enough. But I'm still yet to see how you came to the conclusion that it's okay for you to eat anything less intelligent than yourself, just by using the intelligence argument. Nobody's explained this to me yet, right? So if somebody, let's put this into context, because that's what I like to do. If somebody came over to me and said, why is it alright for you to eat cows? And I said, well, it's alright for me to eat cows because they're less intelligent than me. Right? What I'm not saying is it's alright for me to eat you because you're less intelligent than me. What I'm saying is it's alright to eat cows because they are of a lesser intelligence. Really, the actual argument is sentience. But let's remind ourselves where this came from. It was Isaac using a bad argument. It was nothing to do with me. And then you came along and used an even worse argument. And here we are, Darren. Basically, this stream should be you trying to explain your statement that you think it's okay to eat anything less intelligent than yourself. But instead, here we are. And so it turns out that the whole problem is that he refuses to add context to anything he says, which makes it obviously impossible for anybody to follow. If you can't put your argument into context, then, you know, it's impossible for me to know where you're coming from. Because obviously those words could have been taken a million different ways. I could have just assumed it was a monkey at a keyboard who just happened to make a sentence that almost made sense, but didn't quite, you know? So he was unwilling to explain how he came from, it's alright to, you know, from eating a cow to eating a disabled person. That's what this is all about. What's more intelligent, a cow or a disabled person? That's entirely what this argument hinges upon. And I've been now and I've looked, and I can't even find an IQ test for a cow, so I've no idea still yet whether a disabled person is more intelligent or not than a cow, but I am operating under the assumption that it is, that a human person is probably more intelligent than a cow. That's not that I care. If you want to prove me wrong, please fucking prove me wrong. I'd love to see what the IQ of a cow is. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to assume that you guys are psychopaths who believe that cows are more intelligent than And I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that this entire time you've meant mentally disabled people, because Stephen Hawking's is fucking disabled. And he's definitely more intelligent than a cow. You people are fucking crazy. This is insane. It's fucking insane. Can you please just accept? As soon as you read the comment where I put it into context, right? Any normal person would probably have been like, oh, I must have been reading him wrong. I'll reread that and see if I've made any mistakes. But no, you doubled down. You doubled down and started saying, that's exactly what I was saying. You can kill and eat anything less intelligent than yourself. What the fuck? You're a fucking crazy person. Oh my god, this is so much fun. And yet at the same time, it's so fucking tragic. It's so tragic that you can be so easily misrepresented on the internet. You know, it's impossible to have a normal conversation with people. At some point, I'm going to have to do a video about this Connor guy, because I refuse to give him the time of day, because he's insane in a completely different way from Darren. But these people, I swear to God, the entire content of my channel from now on could be these crazy kinds of conversations that I end up having with people who are just irrational and absolutely point blank refuse to agree with me, even when they agree with me. It's insane. I don't know what to say. I really don't. I'm sorry that I couldn't understand your argument. Darren, you missed out two really vital words, which were than that. And, you know, so did Isaac. I think that makes you a fucking retard, but obviously that's what I said in the comments and you couldn't handle that. All you had to do for clarification was say than that at any time. But your last comment to me was, yes, necessarily, which provided absolutely no context. That's funny because you just spent an hour having a go at me for not providing context when it was impossible for me to do so, and yet all you had to say was the words than that or than this. Fucking hell. This is crazy. I've been talking for 5 minutes and 20 seconds and I am not editing this down because I can't be asked re-listening to it back.
And the fact that he's saying that I'm purposely trying to ignore the context.
That's the royal you, Darren. For fuck's sake.
It's a syllogism that's meant to encompass all possible contexts.
Well, it's a faulty syllogism then, isn't it? If you're talking to a person who thinks it's okay to eat a cow, and you infer from that that they think it's also okay to eat a mentally disabled person, as if a mentally disabled person is less intelligent than a cow. That is a faulty syllogism, Darren. I suggest you revise it.
That's the thing. It's absolute. It's a syllogism. It's a supposition that this is the case. And then these would be the conclusions from the action of doing these things in the first place. What follows, then the conclusion.
Your conclusion and mine are completely different, because I would have said the conclusion was it's okay to eat anything less intelligent than the point on the gradient. Whereas you would just say, oh, it's okay to eat anything less intelligent. Assuming that you mean than yourself at that point, eh? Because what else am I supposed to assume, you fucking mong?
Context doesn't matter. The whole point is, whatever answer you give to that, what would follow is a self-reflection. If you base any level of principled regards to any given thing based on a classification rather than a trait, you're immediately violating modal logic, which are, in fact, the logic of principles themselves in set theory. Now, I might not be entirely correct. Of course, it may encompass more. I'm new to the whole modal logic scene, but at least I get the fundamentals. Not all fundamentals, just want to put that out there, because I know a lot of people in the comments do understand this shit a lot better than I do. And I'm sure Steve could perhaps clarify what modal logic entails, but perhaps it's just too much in the realm of the book world to give a damn.
Yeah, pretty much, man. If you think I'm looking at what motor logic or whatever the fuck you said is, I'm not. I don't really care about any of that bullshit. All I care about is the fact that you didn't make any fucking sense, and you apparently refuse to give context to your statement because you don't want to sink to my level. Fucking hell, whatever.
So he says, I'm sure there is probably a big word for when someone projects an irrational conclusion onto their statement, such as it's okay to eat and kill and eat the disabled, because they've set up a context for which to answer that question. Because that's what the question is asking, Johnny. It's asking for you to give a context. And what would follow is further justification.
Right, I did not do that cut, just by the way, that just happened. But I think this is actually a crucial point. I think we've finally narrowed him down to the actual information that I was looking for. But then rather than giving the information, he's just done some kind of generalising and then said, oh yeah, that's the answer to the question. The question that you guys didn't even ask. The question that you think there's just this automatic conclusion to. I want to hear that justification, Darren. That was the whole fucking point in me asking the question. I just want to hear it. Oh my god. So sadly that's where he leaves it. We never find out how he came to the conclusion that it's okay to eat disabled people. We're left to assume that he assumes that disabled people are less intelligent than cows, despite the fact that if I can't find a cow IQ test, I don't think he can either. And just the way we started this video, really, we're just going to end with him completely misrepresenting me, and I consider it slander, but it's okay. I'm not going to sue you, Darren. You can slander me if you want. Bye, guys. Have fun.
Johnny is a nihilistic friend of mine. He had endeavors of learning, but instead he just exposed his willfully ignorant opinions and never even attempted to rationally debate. He tried, but he'd always stonewall. He'd always poison the well. He'd always ad hominem. That's not debate at all. And they always look at reasons to virtue signal. I'm not joking. He would look for as many ways to virtue signal, appealing to cult, appealing to what else was there? Appealing to people disliking his videos. He'd appeal to his own emotions, and he'd appeal to just simple insults to the people he discussed this stuff with.